Let me read to you a passage from the first chapter of St. Mark's Gospel, verses 40 to 45. It's the Gospel for the 6th Sunday in Ordinary Time Year B. St. Mark writes, "A man with leprosy came to Jesus and begged him on his knees, 'If you are willing, you can make me clean.' Filled with compassion, Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man. 'I am willing,' he said, 'be clean.' Immediately the leprosy left him and he was cured. Jesus sent him away at once with a strong warning. 'See that you do not tell this to anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest and offer the sacrifices that Moses commanded for your cleansing, as a testimony to them.' Instead, he went out and began to talk freely, spreading the news. As a result, Jesus could no longer enter a town openly, but stayed outside in lonely places. Yet the people still came to him from everywhere." That's from Mark chapter 1, verses 40 to 45. And what does it suggest to us? Well, one of the best modern chronicles of the French Revolution, which I can think of, is Simon Schama's Citizens, published by Penguin in 1989. The French Revolution was one of the most cataclysmic social and political upheavals in the long history of Europe. One of the many things it surely illustrates is the chaos and harm that occurs when legitimate authority deteriorates, becomes corrupted, is overthrown, and is replaced by arbitrary authority based not on law but on power. The powerful who have seized authority themselves succumb to the more powerful, and a dictatorship emerges. With the ascendancy of the insatiably ambitious Napoleon, there followed what might be called a protracted world war that came to an end only with his defeat at Waterloo. There can be various perspectives taken in respect to the 30 years between, say, 1785 and 1815, but one is surely the question of authority in European society, and in particular in French society. Society pivots around authority, and it depends on it. By authority is meant the quality by virtue of which persons or institutions make laws and give orders to men and expect obedience from them. The history of mankind shows that every society requires a legitimate authority that itself is functioning well. As Pope John the 23rd once wrote in his encyclical Pacem in Terris, number 46, and I quote, "Human society can be neither well-ordered nor prosperous unless it has some people invested with legitimate authority to preserve its institution and to devote themselves as far as is necessary to work and care for the good of all." The unity of the community and its common good requires an authority. And this shows that the foundation of authority in society lies in human nature itself. If man is to live in society, which he must, then in the very nature of things, an authority is necessary. Its necessity is practical and moral. There should and must be authority in society, and it should be respected. Among the many things that are clear in the life of Jesus Christ is his respect for legitimate authority. In our gospel passage today that I read, we read that after curing a leper of his leprosy, he sent him off with the warning not to tell anyone of his healing. Then he added, "Go, show yourself to the priest, and offer the sacrifices that Moses commanded for your cleansing, as a testimony to them." Our Lord was directing the leper to fulfill the religious requirement to show himself to the priest and to fulfill the law of Moses stipulating the offering of sacrifices for his cleansing. On another occasion, our Lord stated that he had not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it. And we remember how, when the temple officer asked Simon if his master paid the temple tax, Simon said that he certainly did. And again, we remember how, in response to the challenge of the religious leaders, our Lord told them that they were to give back to Caesar what belonged to Caesar, and to God what belonged to God. This same Christ-like respect for legitimate authority we see in the letters of St. Paul. For instance, as he writes in his letter to the Romans, chapter 13, verse 1 to 2, "Let every person be subject to the governing authorities. For there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, he who resists the authorities resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment." Of course, St. Paul is referring to legitimate authority and its legitimate exercise. Those exercising authority in society are bound to strive to do so in accordance with morality and the law of God. No authority has the right to command what is unjust or morally wrong. An example would be the enactment of a law allowing the destruction of unborn human life, or the prohibition of any acceptance and profession of the Christian religion. In this case, whatever be the cost, as St. Peter and the Apostles said to the high priest and his council, we must obey God rather than men, in Acts chapter 5, verse 29. Most people in society have some sphere in which they exercise limited authority. As well as this, they are themselves subject to authority. As with every element of life, the exercise of and respect for authority should be continually sanctified and made the means of attaining holiness and growth in moral goodness. That is to say, it is God whom we should be serving when we must command and when we must obey. Christ should be our model whenever we have authority or whenever we are subject to it. It is in this way that authority will sanctify and assist us on our way to heaven.